New York City. It's snowing. It's a little light at the moment, but it's been off and on all day today. Mid-30s, so not sure how much is going to accumulate, but always fun to see snow here in the city. We're up on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, just crossing Lexington Avenue and 87th Street now. I think it's like 35 degrees. We'll probably find a sign at some point with the live weather, but I think it's like 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's Pi Day, right? 314 Pi Day. Brenda's here. I saw Colleen in the chat a little while ago. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day. Stay warm. Brenda says AC off here in Daytona, windows open. Oh my gosh, that sounds nice. We have our gimbal glove on today. Cold enough for the gimbal glove. And not too much of a plan at the moment. Just explore New York City. Ooh, and there's the wind. So we have a little snow, we have a little rain, and we have a lot of wind today. I think they were saying 40, 50 mile per hour gusts. I've already felt one of those. Paul Greenwell, Arjan, Prince Ice, ER. And RJ's here from Colorado. Is it icy, Brenda asks. No, not icy yet, because it's too warm. It's been too warm, so it's in the mid-30s. So it's just wet. It was crazy though this morning out of our window. It was just pouring snow. It says snow for the next few hours, so hopefully we'll get another big burst of that so you guys can really see it. But it is coming down around us. And nobody coming. So we'll cross the street. NYPD there picking up their lunch. Yeah, it's nice to see everybody. Hope everybody's doing okay. Staying warm out there wherever you may be. And if you missed, I guess it was Sunday in the park. Sunday stream, we were in Central Park. We saw some of the first cherry blossoms. So speaking of this weird, super bizarre season, you know, where we're doing a snow walk today. A couple days ago, we saw the cherry blossoms in Central Park. So the story is, you know, it's 30 degrees one day, it's 60 degrees the next. All the plants are totally befuddled and confused. And so some of the cherry blossoms, forsythia, daffodils, there's like some spring plants in Central Park already. And we were talking about this on Sunday, then you get a day like today, and I don't know how long and how well those spring plants are going to survive. So what'll happen is, my guess is the park will just be patchy. I don't think we're going to get like the full beautiful spring blossoms like we did last year. This is the Lexington Avenue candy shop. And I'm standing a little bit in the street, but hopefully nobody will run me over. But I wanted to show you guys. Celebrating 95 years, and they have this amazing Coca-Cola display. ER supposed to be at work? Well, hard at work or hardly working, as they say. And here's more. Isn't this awesome? They even have some letters from Coca-Cola. Love these old school shops. We'll see some more. I don't know. I don't really, like I said, I don't really have a plan today, but we'll walk a little bit of Lexington. And there's lots of old school stuff along the way, but some, you know, one I really like to film, there's a diner called Nellie's farther down, and I just found out that they're closing because of unpaid rent, like huge, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Really sad. Across the street, Warby Parker, they're one of those online direct-to-consumer glasses brands, but I like what they did with the building. I think it's pretty cool. And then I think I saw, it's a little tough for me to scroll today because of the snow and cold hands, but I think I saw Arjan say he just followed. Hey, thanks for the subscription. Thanks for hanging on out with us. We do lots of walks, both live and recorded, all over New York City. So thanks for joining the group. We have a nice little community here. Today we're just enjoying a walk in the snow. And no umbrella today because it's way too windy. So I have my little lens wipe for when we need to. You guys will tell me. And she was saying I would never have a car in New York City. And you can see to my left in the street, it's ridiculous. They're probably, we're walking as fast as the cars are driving. Between all the construction and all the craziness. Paul asking how's little baby. He's eating a ton right now. Not letting his parents sleep very much. Oh, since we have a light, I apologize for the ambulance. They're stuck behind a cab that's not moving. Interesting. 133 East 80th Street, Rosario Candela, 1929. Luxury apartment construction in New York City, leading up to the Great Depression. Oh my gosh. Terrace setbacks. Beautiful building. Point the camera up for a second so you guys can see the snowflakes. You want to see why the ambulance can't get by? Oh, it's not a cab. I thought it was one of those green cabs. It's a delivery van. Oh man, that's awful. That's awful. Sal says light flurries here in Staten Island. Yeah, I think it's, we've talked about this before, but a lot of the storms go north of Manhattan, so the Bronx is probably getting some. You know, the city's getting a little, but I think the Bronx is probably the only one that might get some accumulation. And then farther north, New York State. Yeah, the city's been avoiding a lot of the worst of it. While we wait for the light, to show you some of the stuff over here. Check out the front of this building. Isn't this beautiful? Talk about luxury apartment buildings. Look at that fancy stonework. That's awesome. All right, should be changing in a second. All right, so this is 79th Street in Lexington Ave. Started at 87th. Beautiful snowflakes falling now, getting a little chunkier, so hopefully it's a little easier for you guys to see it on the screen. Trying not to move the camera too much right now, just so when it's stable, hopefully you guys get a good picture of the snow falling. But we're walking down Lexington right now, one of my favorite avenues to walk, and there's lots of cool apartment buildings and different architecture styles. Some new, some old, some upscale, some not so upscale. A little bit of everything. And Lexington's fun because it's a mix of, you have the residential buildings, and then on the ground level you have all the storefronts. It's really getting into my eyes. Wind and flurries here in central and southern New Jersey. Here in northwest Jersey getting a lot of snow. Yep, I believe it. I believe it. Coronet Pizza. So this opened up on the Upper East Side, I mean, probably a while ago, probably like a year ago, but relatively recently. Coronet is famous. It's on the Morningside Heights neighborhood, up, you know, kind of Upper West, where Columbia University is, and they're known for having the most gigantic slices of pizza. So if you look up Coronet Pizza, K-O-R-O-N-E-T, you want to see pictures of it. It's ridiculous. Huge slices of New York style pizza. Ooh, really windy. Lots of snow are coming up. I always like seeing this beautiful clock, classic clock. Several of them on 5th Avenue, but that's a nice one. That one dedicated to Lenox Hill Hospital. Show you guys the church across the street. Beautiful. Prince Ice says it can see the snow falling. Good, good. Some classic New York City restaurants, and again, more beautiful apartment buildings, or say. And then this one just closed not too long ago, but check out the apartments near it. Let me go across the street so you guys can. So much, I love the architecture over here. Look at these buildings, isn't that beautiful? Got some really beautiful buildings here. So again, Upper East Side, Lexington Avenue. In the snow. 74th Street. Brenda asking, do we ever go to Gramercy Park? It's an interesting question. So the short answer is we walk near Gramercy many, many times. The longer answer is it's a private park. Basically, the story is years and years and years ago, a developer built some apartments around there, built a park, and you got a key to the park if you lived in one of the apartments right there. Now, there's not too many examples of this in New York City because most of our parks are open to the public and owned by the city. And it's grown more and more controversial year by year because there's a lot of evidence to show that the people who live around the park, they're supposed to be taxed at an increased rate for the value of having access to the park. And it turns out they don't. You'll be shocked to hear that our tax system may not be operating as efficiently as it could, or as accurately. So basically, it's this little luxury park that people aren't paying for, that's closed to the public, and it just drives me crazy. So honestly, I try not to really focus on it too much because I just find the whole thing, like, I'm going to show you guys a park through a gate, you know, it's just like so dumb. So there's been some talk off and on about the city eventually taking it over, which is inevitable. I mean, it'll happen one day because it will become untenable as more and more people discover that these people aren't actually paying for it. So the city will eventually take it over, and then we'll go spend lots of time there. But until then, we will be grumpy New Yorkers about it. Cheapskates. Richard's here. We are in Manhattan, Upper East Side. Low 70s on Lexington Avenue, moving into the 60s. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to all of our new viewers. Love having you hanging on out with us. We do regular walks around New York City. Occasionally we go live. Occasionally we share our grumpy New York thoughts. But we love sharing this fair city with everybody. Crossing 71 on Lexington. Ooh, really coming down now. Hopefully you guys can see it. Brenda. I believe parks should be open for all. They used to do a thing, I don't know if they still do it, where like once a year they let some students go in. But it's so obnoxious. Like, that's so obnoxious. Just open the park. When you do go, you might see 4 people sitting in it. I mean, it's so absurd. And one of the things I've read is that fewer and fewer people are willing to, I guess they lose the key. And then I think in addition to the tax, I think there's some sort of other fees, and a lot of folks don't want to pay the fees. So it's like fewer and fewer and fewer people have access to it. It's just so obnoxious to me. All right, we're coming up to Hunter College. If you've ever been on the 6 train here in New York City, you probably recognize 68th Street, Hunter College. And again, more really beautiful architecture over here. Ah, Richard, not a fan of graffiti. Oh, we might have a disagreement there. And in fact, that reminds me of something we may go look at. You may have to cover your eyes at some point, Richard. You may have to cover your eyes. I mean, I don't like when, you know, something is defaced, but I'm a fan of street art when it's in the right place. And you've reminded me, and so actually now I have a destination in mind. Hopefully we won't get in trouble. I love the buildings over here. Let's look at this one more time. Oh. Ooh, it's really coming down now. That's a cool building for this sort of weather. And on our left, Shakespeare & Co. We talk a lot about bookstores on this channel. We have lots of book lovers in our community. Shakespeare & Company. There's the sign I was saying. 68th Street, Hunter College. So I'll give you an example of tasteful graffiti or where I think it makes sense. So there was a big controversy recently in Washington Heights. There's a subway station, and we haven't done a lot of live streams from that far uptown, but I have videos, recordings from up there. And 181st Street, there's a subway street, it's called like a street tunnel. And so basically the story is it's so deep underground that they built a tunnel for people. I forget what it is. It's like walking from Broadway, and in all its wisdom whitewashed the whole thing. And then they said, oh, it's going to be redone and we'll do this or that or the other, but it was really beautiful, and I have a video of it. If you Google or if you search YouTube for 181st Street subway station, most of the videos have in their title like worst subway station, unsafe, dangerous, all this. It's like, no, it was just a beautiful subway tunnel. It's got art. You might not like the art. You might not like the tunnel, but you know, it was beautiful in its way. In its own way, it was very beautiful to me. But we have an ongoing, I'm a huge fan of any form of public art, which we see on this channel all the time. Across the street, by the way, the red building is the Park Avenue Armory. We mostly see it from Park Avenue. Part of the 7th Regiment, so built during the Civil War for New York's 7th Regiment. What was I saying? So yeah, we see a lot of public art on this channel. Gosh, there's so much good architecture over here. Check out this building. We see lots of public art on this channel just by virtue of walking around all the time. And it's so funny. Everybody has a different opinion about it, you know? So we saw, what was it? On our 5th Avenue walk the other night, we saw some sculptures, kind of modern. And it was definitely one of those 50-50. Some people liked it, some people hated it, you know? But I think part of what makes the city fun is, just like we're seeing now with all the different styles of buildings, is the variety is part of what makes it really interesting to look at. If all these buildings were exactly the same style, walking down Lexington would not be nearly as fun. Prince Ice, seeing 432 Park Ave. No, ER, I never did. I know about that, but I never saw that. Which is, you know, I try to make more of an effort now to see things that may not last forever. That's a good example of why. That's a great example. Ooh, it's really coming down. So we're starting to move in towards Midtown. Starting to move towards Midtown. 59th Street being the cutoff between Upper East Side, Midtown. Oh, look at the tiles here. It's pretty. Brenda says, as long as it's not vulgar. Yeah. But when it comes to graffiti, a good amount of it's going to be vulgar. So you guys want a funny story? This building right here, people have been yelled at for filming. So this glass building, this townhouse, people have been yelled at for filming because it was owned by, I think it was like a Brazilian billionaire. And he was never there, but he had his security detail, some security folks inside. And if you ever filmed it, they'd come running out yelling at you. It's a public building on a public street. And if you didn't want people looking at your distinctive building, maybe don't buy the most distinctive building on the block. So now I like to yeah, the snow's not going to stick. So it's in the mid 30s. I think it's going up to maybe in the high 30s today. Too warm, too warm. Sometimes we get lucky and it snows so much so quickly that some does stick, but I don't think that, it doesn't seem to be happening today. So we're just enjoying it falling onto us. All right, we have another cool building coming up on our right. Excuse me. Very odd to walk that slowly, but check out this building. It looks like brocade. Is that how you would say that? I love the metalwork on it. The white building. Marv is here. Good to see everybody. Right, Prince Ice. It's not the people, it's the building. For sure. For sure. I just think it's funny. You go and you buy something that looks super unique, and then you get upset that people want to look at the thing. Seems a little counterintuitive, if you ask me. All right, light is changing. Nobody coming. Across the street. And as we said, entering Midtown Manhattan. So you'll rapidly notice the buildings change. Since Prince Ice pointed out, let me show you 432 Park Ave. The top of it kind of disappearing into the fog a little bit. The low clouds, the snow coming down. I have one really cool building to show you guys up ahead on Lex. And then as we get to 60th Street, we'll also see Bloomingdale's. So we'll check out the spring shopping windows at Bloomingdale's. Probably a lot of folks who work in Midtown picking up their lunch. That's what a lot of folks who work in New York City do. Pick something up. On a nice day, you might find a park to sit in, to eat. On a not so nice day, you might go sit back at your desk. This is Bloomingdale's, by the way. So let's go see what are in the spring windows now. Bloomingdale's Way, the sign right there. All right, everybody, get your credit cards out. Richard asking, any celebrities spotted? Not today, not today. Not yet, at least. And honestly, it's very hard to tell on a day like this because folks have their hoods up and so forth. But we've had some spottings recently. I think I would be awfully cold today if this is what I was wearing. ABX is here. Finally able to get used to the winter gear. I know, right? I think I've worn gloves this winter for these streams, like, I don't even know, 3 times the entire season. It's not been much of a winter. Very little snow. Again, I think I'd be awfully cold if this is what I was wearing today. But there hasn't really been snow this season. So this says female founders, so I guess it's mostly female-led fashion houses. Pretty cool. Mima's here. Rainy and cold here too. California, but no more drought. I think California got way more than it bargained for over the past few months. There's one more cool view of 432 Park. Love some of the angles you get in Midtown from the big buildings. Over to our left over here is Bloomberg headquarters. I don't think I'm going to head over there today, but they have a cool little mid-block street of their own. And during the holidays, during Christmas time, they have a nice Christmas tree, but not right now. I think it's called Beacon Court, I think is the name of their little private street. I think they'll let us cross safely. Hopefully we're okay. So I have one more view I want to show you guys, well, maybe 2. I have a couple more buildings I want to show you on Lexington, and then we may actually head over to Park Avenue. I have some different ideas for today, prompted by the chat.
Oh, not too bad. Good. I got
So one little tip, these subway grates during winter can be very warm because you get the heat from the subway system blowing up, but it gets super slippery, so you just gotta be careful on those subway grates. That's across the street, nobody coming. And let me show you guys, let me point the camera. Those are the towers of Billionaires Row. Have to be quick because the cars are now coming. So the towers of Billionaires Row between 57th and 58th Street. Again, lots of cool architecture as we get into Midtown. Big buildings, big. I have a couple cool ones to show you guys. Brenda loves Macy's. Took me to, oh, you got to see the locker rooms in the cafeteria. That's really cool. Yeah, a lot of the big and older buildings have all this private space, you know, for employees and stuff. The Met, all the museums, for example, they have big research and what do you call it? Restoration facilities and all sorts of stuff. So that's cool that you got to see that at Macy's. And yeah, definitely the classic wooden escalators at Macy's. Mark, Lino, good to see everybody. So we're coming up in a moment on one of my favorite sites in Midtown Manhattan, but specifically along Lexington. And you can probably start to see the distinctive architecture. This is the Central Synagogue. I think every time I see it, you know, I think of something maybe Middle Eastern, maybe something from Russia. But it is the Central Synagogue. So the cars are stuck by somebody turning. So we'll hop across. Yeah, this beautiful building right here is the Central Synagogue. I love it. Again, showing
Check in on that. Yes.
the total variety of architecture in New York City, street by street. Yes, it's very, so let me try to cross the street, because let's go see if we can find one of the landmark plaques, because yeah, it's very old. Let's go see if we can find the plaque. And I kind of want to be on that side of the street anyways. I love it. You don't see stuff like this too often. Ah, Lino mentioning the Chrysler building. Yeah, we may go. Yeah, I think we'll probably go see the. I think we'll probably go see the Chrysler building. And that still keeps. There you go. Central Synagogue. This is the oldest synagogue building in continuous use in New York City. The congregation was established in 18-9. Ooh, do we know? Do we think it was? It was completed in 1872. The style is Moorish Revival. The arrangement Gothic. So erected 1872, but if anybody knows the missing number, when the congregation was established. How beautiful, though. Oh. Saw the woman, I did not see the cart behind her. Whoops. Door rock. Yeah, we spend a lot of time on Fifth Avenue. You know, so we see things like St. Patrick's, but on Lexington, that might be one of my favorite buildings on Lexington, though the Chrysler building is, of course, right up there. Right up there. And then we talked about this before. So this is the, I think it's the City Court building, if I remember correctly. It's also quite distinctive in that at this corner, take advantage of it. So it stands on stilts in this corner for and the architect came up with this solution of opening up the bottom of the building and putting it on stilts down here. It's at the corner. We're buffering. Let me go find a better spot.
It's good to have someone like that.
Let me try to find a better spot for us. Excuse me. All right, we'll walk ahead, and when the connection comes back more strong, I'll talk about that. I think we have a better connection over. So anyways, story of this building. Basically, it was designed so that the church could remain there. And so it has this really interesting, distinctive shape and structure. The problem is, it was discovered after the fact by an architecture student who, just as a project, was researching the building. Turned out the student was correct. And if one of these in Midtown Manhattan, when this was discovered, it turns out there was a storm coming to New York City that could deliver those very winds. So the city actually made plans with, I think, the Red Cross to potentially evacuate a huge area of Midtown Manhattan. The building, like, into the night. It ended up, they did successfully make the repairs, and I think the story is they didn't really tell anybody. It only came out after the fact that this building could have fallen down at any time. Really scary. Ambrose is here, good to see you. We're walking down Lexington Avenue. We're here in Midtown Manhattan. Had a little buffer there, apologies. Thanks for bearing with us. The beautiful old Doubletree Hotel. I love, if you stand out here in the morning, a lot of the international airlines use this hotel. And so you see all these flight crews, and I love the international flight crews because they're all dressed up so nicely. And they'll all come out at 7 or 8 in the morning together. They take a shuttle over to one of the airports. Beautiful. And Urban Space is one of the many food halls that we have here. 570 Lexington Avenue. Another 1929, 1931 Art Deco building. General Electric. I just showed you the beautiful General Electric clock at the corner, but it's just a gorgeous building. We love, on this channel, we love our Art Deco buildings. Benjamin? A lot of beautiful, beautiful buildings here. But anyways, look up if you want to Google more about that building, look up the City Tower. Disaster. It's a really incredible story. God, it could have been so terrible. So we'll go see the Chrysler building, and then I have a different idea that'll take us off of Lexington. So there's some parts of the city now where they've created these overflow zones for pedestrians. So this is part of the sidewalk over here. So let's go see the Chrysler building. Start to show you the tip top, but we'll also go see the entryways because they're really beautiful. And that'll take us over to Grand Central. Leela's here, good to see you. So we're entering kind of the Grand Central Terminal area over the next few blocks. Obviously, gorgeous building inside and out. But it also happens to be home to my favorite chocolate chip cookies in New York City at Jacques Torres. They have a little Jacques Torres shop there. So if you ever need your cookie fix or a gift, I mean, I know Ambrose likes to get all his gifts at Dwayne Reed, but if you're looking for that something a little extra, there's a Jacques Torres in Grand Central, my favorite. Well, let's go check out the Chrysler building. I think that would be pretty cool. Richard asked if the Chrysler building was built today, how much would it cost? That's such a good question. We've talked about stuff like that before. Construction in New York City is obscenely expensive. Obscenely expensive, and it's partly why, you know, there's lots of stuff the city needs. So recently in the news was a potential light rail to LaGuardia. And that's not happening, in part due to costs. And that's not even a subway or something, which would be 10 times more expensive. So yep, there's the beautiful Chrysler building. I always ask people if they prefer the Chrysler building preference. I'm sure my opinion changes by the day. I mean, at night, the Empire's so cool because of the light show that they put on. But I think just building to building, I probably think the Chrysler building's more beautiful. We were by the Flatiron building on our Fifth Avenue walk. It still was covered in scaffolding. So I don't know if they're still working on it. I don't know what the story is there. I'm very excited for that scaffolding to come down though. Very excited. We have the lights, so let me go on this side so I can show you the entryways over at the Chrysler building. Red light. Hey, Ray's here. Good to see you. Thanks everybody for hanging on out with us as we explore New York City today with a little snow coming down. Beautiful Midtown Manhattan. We're across the street right now from Grand Central and one of the beautiful U.S. Post offices here in the city. And we're about to walk up to the Chrysler building to see some of the ornate entryways. If you were to make a left over here, which who knows, we might actually do in a little bit, it would take you to the water, to the United Nations building, and a really cool public area, which is the public gardens at the Ford Foundation. Maybe we'll do that later. TBD. Some of the Eagles at Grand Central. So as we come to 43rd Street, we have arrived at the Chrysler building. So let's go. Let me show you guys some different parts of it. First, let me just point the camera up so you can see we're now directly underneath it. Just a gorgeous building. And then on Lexington, we have some really nice show you the entrance. But also just check out some of the stuff along the way. I mean, just gorgeous. So this would be where you'd walk in every day. How cool is this? Totally incredible. Totally awesome. So I have the light, so I want to go take advantage of this. So I have another idea. Been wanting to do. You guys have to promise not to tell anybody. But we're gonna go over to Park Avenue for a second. All credit to our good friend Dutch Moz, who showed us this not too long ago. But today seems like as good a day as any to go see it. But again, you guys can't tell anybody we're doing this. So let's head over. Show you guys, this is the Shannon building. Unfortunately, lots of scaffolding, but you can see some of the building details down here on the ground level. Let's head over to Park Avenue. There's probably going to be a little buffer right in front of Grand Central, but just bear with me a minute. Tanisha's here, good to see you. Leida's here. We are heading out back to the grindstone. Cipriani on our left. This is like a big event space. They do really fancy events in the Cipriani there. It's the former Bowery Savings Bank, another beautiful building, but unfortunately everything over here covered in scaffolding right now. All right, so again, pardon if there's a little bit of a buffer around here, but just bear with me for a minute or two. And I think some of you will agree it's worth our while. Some of you. Maybe not everybody. Making a left now, so we're walking south now on Park Avenue. At Pershing Square, there's a cool little diner right there underneath the Park Avenue Viaduct. On our great little taco spot. This is 41st Street, otherwise known as Library Way, because that is the New York Public Library. But lots of fun sights here along Park Avenue. Along, above, and below. Is this open or not? I do not know the answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go find out. Let's go this way for a sec. Dorgrock, fan of the Pershing Square Diner. Yeah, it's very good and not super unreasonable prices for New York City.
That's the worst coffee sound. I don't think they're coming up with turning 8
So for a
to 6
while,
straight. So
I think it should still be up. There was what's called the Park Avenue Zoo. Animals, sculptures put along the mall here, so the middle of Park Avenue. I want to see if any are still up or if they got taken. It looks like they might have gotten taken down. Hopefully that means they'll put another art show up not too long. Love it over here. Yeah, I guess the zoo got taken down. Hopefully that means we'll get new art in the very near future. Church of Our Savior. So unfortunately, these are the worst timed streets in New York City. So I'm going to rush across before the light changes because otherwise I hit every red light. Ambrose came down last month. Oh, that's too bad, too bad. It's the thing with some of the art, it is ephemeral. Here one day, gone the next. That's too bad. But fortunately, there are other things to see, like this. The tip top of the Empire State Building, popping out. Right in the middle of our screen, that's the tower, the spire. Beautiful Park Avenue here. Just hold your breath for the view. Beltran's here from Spain. Good to see you. Beautiful Empire State Building here at 35th Street, Park Avenue. Totally, totally gorgeous. Spectacular view. Ooh, still seeing some of the snow coming down. Winter's Day. And of course, if we were looking at the Empire State Building, that means it has taken us to 34th Street. We should have a nice little view right here. We had some really good ones. We did a nice walk on 5th Avenue the other night. Street, Park Avenue, hanging out. Looks like this gentleman's trying to find his way across. Is the light changing? Yes, indeed. I love when people honk when they have, if they cannot safely make it across the intersection. Too bad. Beautiful Park Avenue here. Brenda, not a fan of the horns. I'm especially not a fan of them when somebody has put themselves in the wrong place and then is terribly upset at the position they find themselves in. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk back up Park Avenue, underground. So they were letting bikes in. Are they going to let us do that? Probably not. I guess they've closed it off. But we'll see if we can get a little bit of a view. That's too bad. They were letting bikes go through here. No more bikes. But we can get a little view. I don't think I'll be hopping this, but I'll show you guys some of the graffiti just because I think it's pretty cool looking. So for a while, they must have started to do the construction, so they're working on this. They were letting bikes go through. No more bikes. But I love this. So to me, this feels like an appropriate place to put some street art, no? Feels fitting. Feels okay to me. Was hoping it was still open, but we will respect some of the signs. We'll respect some of the signs. Onwards, campers. Onwards, ever onwards. I think we'll start to do a little bit of a loop. So why don't we head back towards, let's go east now. Since we're over here, one last view of the Empire. Some of the cool Midtown towers. You could take this down to Union Square, not too far. But I think let's go east. Let's go check out the UN. I don't even remember the last time we did that on a live stream. It's been a minute. British Grey is here. Good to see you. The light is red. Nobody coming. Oh, look at the side of the building here. Yeah, the snow's kind of, I think it was supposed to be off and on all day, but starts to trail off around 6. But it's kind of coming and going. Coming and going. Of course, it went like all morning. I was staring out the window, but I was not able to head out yet. There's still little flakes coming down, but it's slowed down considerably from before. Yeah, none. So we're going to head east now towards 1st Avenue. So we were at Park. let's head east towards First. We'll go see the UN. It's been a while since I've seen it. Always fun to see. So since we hit a light here, I might actually walk us to 34th. And guess what? We'll see the Chrysler again. Oh, Prince Ice, it's gone for you? Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, it's gotten awfully small at the moment. I'm hopeful we'll get another flurry. That'll be fun. But it's also starting to feel a little warmer. So there may not be too much more snow today. Beautiful Chrysler building. We have our lights. We'll cross Lexington now. More art. More art. So let's see what you guys think of this. There's two pieces right here. There's the mural and the painter. I love this. Ooh, it looks like somebody gave him a Hershey kiss. So this piece is called The Right Light by Edward Johnson Jr. And then you have this gorgeous mural right here, Lillian Kennedy on the wall. And this is a little public plaza. So I was saying, you know, a lot of the folks in Midtown picking up their lunches. On a nice day, this is one of the kind of places where folks might come bring their food, have their lunch in the middle of the day. But it's also just a nice place to sit, rest, look at the art. G, Nelly, good to see everybody. So we're on 34th Street right now. We're heading east. We've visited a few different places so far. Mostly Lexington and a little bit of Park Avenue. I was hoping the Park Avenue tunnel was still open, but they put up more barriers than I feel comfortable hopping, so choosing not to have to get bailed out by the chat today. So we're going to continue down 34th Street, head towards First Avenue, and I think we're going to go see the United Nations building. And John is back. Good to see you. Welcome. Thankful to have everybody's company today as we explore a little bit of New York City. I don't know, Prince Ice, can you start to see it again? It's a little fluffier again. A little more fluff. That was a hookah lounge called Babylon. I liked the arts outside. So I always love interesting street names in New York City. Tunnel Exit Street. Very creatively named. Some of my similar favorite street names. There's obviously Tunnel Exit Street, there's Tunnel Entrance Street, there's Marginal Street. Look at that guy. There's Marginal Street, there's an Extra Street, there's a New Street. It's like they forgot, they didn't get around to naming it, so they called it a New Street. Marginal's pretty fun. It's a little, like 1 block long side road, so it's a marginal street. But I think my favorite of all, as I put my mind to it, is probably, and it's got street signs, so I think it counts as a street, is 6th and a Half Avenue. So for a few blocks in Midtown, in between 6th Avenue and 7th Avenue, it's like 5 blocks long, and it's mostly pedestrian pathways, so you can't drive your car through it. Plazas. 6th and when we're a little farther west. Terry's heading out and walk the dogs. Enjoy, be safe. If I remember correctly, I believe this is the Tunnel Entrance Street. We saw Tunnel Exit Street. I love it. Maybe we'll go take a look at the sign. Oh, excuse me. I was incorrect. Not Tunnel Entrance, Tunnel Approach Street. Ramona's here. Layla loves 6th and a Half Avenue. I just think I love the street signs that they have for that. If I ever owned a street sign, 6th and a Half is probably pretty high on that list. So we're here on 34th Street. If we go straight, it takes us to the Children's Hospital and the beautiful Spot sculpture. Maybe we'll go see Spot on our way to the UN. Let's go see Spot. Arjan found us through Dutch Moz. Hey, we love Dutch Moz. One of our good New York City streaming friends. We've had the good fortune to meet a bunch of folks in this little community. We love to hang out with Dutch. And if anybody's on here not a subscriber of Dutch's, highly recommended. He's such a character. And he's a licensed New York City tour guide, so he really knows his stuff. Ambrose, yes, we passed exit. There is, I want to say there is an entrance one somewhere. There's a few of these streets around the tunnels that have these, I love like just funny named streets. But yeah, that was Tunnel Approach. We did pass Tunnel Exit. So funny. So we've made it to First Avenue. We'll walk up first in a second, but before we do that, I want to show you guys the Spot sculpture over here at the Children's Hospital, balancing a full-size New York City taxi cab on his nose. So let's go see Spot, say hello. Oh, I wasn't supposed to walk, my bad. Whoops. My bad. apologies, there's lots of construction, kind of gnarly construction sounds, so sorry for that, but let's go see Spot. Again, Spot is balancing a life-size New York City taxi cab on his nose here at the Children's Hospital. About the size of a New York City rat. Sorry for all the noise. That's New York City for you. I love that. Spot. All right, so let's head back to First and we'll start making our way north. We're going in a little bit of a loop. And we'll have some nice views along First and some other areas. I've sat in this plaza many times eating lunch on a nice spring or summer day. It's a good little plaza. Reason being, you can get over to the waterfront over at basically anywhere from here to 37th Street. You can get onto the East River waterfront really easily. Art. There's just art everywhere outside New York City if you pay enough attention, which, to be honest, I don't always pay enough attention. Latha enjoys the noise, the sounds of New York City. Well, we have so many recorded videos of New York City, so if you don't like me blabbing on, we have lots of recordings, so if you just want to listen to the sounds of New York City, we got lots of that. And then speaking of, we started a second channel, Sounds by Sean. Out of necessity, my wife and I needed some very specific white noise to fall asleep and to help our kiddo fall asleep. So I started a channel where I've been posting sleep sound videos. But I'm planning to take some of my New York City sounds from my walks and put them with a black screen, so if somebody just wants the sounds for whatever reason. So stay tuned for that, Layla. More New York City sounds coming soon. I started with a rain sound video, but we'll get some just pure city sounds as well. So like I was saying, 37th Street, if you made a right here, you can head on to the East River Greenway. You know what? Maybe we'll do that actually. Maybe we'll go that way. I have an idea. We'll do this for a second. We'll have to backtrack a bit, but it's been a while since I've done this. Let's go this way. Lynn asking, what is the smoke out there? So the smoke was probably not smoke, but steam. So there's an entire network of steam pipes underneath New York City. A lot of buildings use it for heating and cooling, and some of the museums actually use it for humidity. Keep the art at a particular humidity. So when you see those big orange cones spewing out smoke, it's actually, they're just venting steam from the steam system. So we're going to enter the Esplanade over here, otherwise known as the Greenway. And while we do that, I'll show you guys this, the American Copper Building. We have to wait for the light to change here because it's folks coming off of the highway, often going quite fast. So we have to wait for the light to change. So the yellow and red. So we're going to cross here, head over to the waterfront. Nobody coming. Check for bikes. Nobody coming. So we're actually going to make a left today. So this ends in not too long, but we're over here, so why not check it out? So basically, so Manhattan's obviously an island. On the west side, you can walk the entire in one connected path. Which we've done before, although in pieces. The east side's a little more complicated. There's not one complete path across the entire east side. And so what they've been doing is they're starting to fill the gaps in on the east side. So this is part of the East River Greenway. And I'll show you guys because it gets us an interesting view of the United Nations building. But you'll see in a little while it'll just come to an abrupt end. So we'll have to go backwards in a little bit, but thought it would be fun. So this is the East River to our right, Long Island City, the beautiful Pepsi Cola sign. Let's go take a look at that for a second. Let me zoom in. And then in between us, one of my favorite places to visit, Roosevelt Island. Tip, right in front of us is Four Freedoms Park. Beautiful over there. That's the 59th Street Ed Koch Queensboro Bridge. Running along it is the Roosevelt Island Tram. So for those of you who are not afraid of heights, you can take the tram to get to Roosevelt Island, which is my preferred way to go. It's really beautiful. You have beautiful city views from there. For the price of a subway swipe, so $2.75, you have to use your Metro card. So eventually, one day, they should connect the east side waterfront. But as you can see, we're coming to the end here. This is directly next to 42nd Street. So we've walked from 37 to 42nd. But it's cool because you get a view of the United Nations building from behind, and I'll show you some other stuff in a second, which is pretty cool. Layla, can't wait for the cherry blossoms on Roosevelt Island. Well, I don't know if you saw our Central Park stream on Sunday. A lot of the cherry blossoms are starting to come in already, and I'm afraid like the cold today and the snow is going to kill them. The city's plants are all confused. So we are basically standing at 42nd Street and FDR. Right above the East River, that's the UN building. And then next to us, Tudor City. So right up ahead, that's 53rd Street. And if you can see, let me zoom in. They're starting to build extensions of the Greenway down there. So one day the hope is that all this will be connected, but work in progress, work in progress. Oh, big boat. Lynn is here, Luis. Good to see everybody. Big boat, big boat. Can I get a time check? So if we started at 12:31, so is it 2 p.m.? Ambrose says the media says the cold would slow them but not destroy them. Oh, I hope that's right. I hope that's right. I saw some of the flowers in Central Park looked pretty rough, to be honest. But maybe the cherry blossoms are hardier creatures. I really hope that's right. John Burke, good to see you. All right, 2 p.m. Okay, we're doing okay. I have a deadline, but we're good for now. So this is the 34th Street ferry dock. Let me go over there. Let me see what time the next ferry is. Trying to rush over to the ferry dock because I see a ferry coming as we speak that's going in the direction I think we might want to go in, but I think it's going to beat me. I don't think I'm fast enough because I'd have to buy a ticket as well, but we'll see what the next one would be. Run, Sean. Yeah. It's a little slippery today, I'm afraid. So I must just walk a pace. Layla says, if you're a tourist, New York City Ferry is an unsung bargain and great way to see the skyline. 100%. Hey, Lynn's got to head out, got to study. Happy studying. Be safe, be well. Yeah. If you've been with us before, you might know the New York City Ferry is like one of my favorite ways to get around the city. Yeah, the boat already docked, so we'll potentially get the next one, depending on the time. So it used to be the same price as riding the subway. So they raised the fares. They're still losing lots of money, but I think it's $5 per person now, something like that. Used to be $2.75. It's still an incredible deal. And the tickets are good for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you can often take more than one trip, depending on what your situation is. All right, so here's where you could get the tickets, but I want to look at the All right. I'm afraid, folks, that the timing today does not work out for getting our hopes up. We'll do that another time. Let's head out this way. Let's head out right over here. If we had more time, we would do it, but today is not that day. So a little more walking instead. But I have many videos from the New York City ferry. Some of the best ones are on the west side at night, where you get some really spectacular views of the skyline, as Layla was saying. And by the way, they all have names. The boats. This is Sunset Crossing. This one's going downtown though. I needed to take it uptown if it was going to work, but it wasn't for like half an hour. Or even long. The one with them was like 45 minutes or something. Wasn't going to work out, I'm afraid. But we'll do that again sometime because I love doing that. So let's head back into the city, back over to First Ave. Hopefully that was a fun little detour. Nobody coming for quite a while. So let's head back over to First Avenue, head up. We'll go check out the front side this time of the United Nations. And as we do that, as we walk to First Avenue, we continue our gorgeous view of the Empire. Ooh, and that snow is all right, First Avenue, 37th Street. In a moment, an incredibly hilarious sight on some of the most valuable land imaginable. An empty lot. right by 42nd Street. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I put the
But look at this, an empty lot in New York City, some of the most valuable land imaginable. Right next to the United Nations. Always cracks me up every time I see it. The thought of an empty parcel of land still right here in smack dab in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. Cracks me up. So when we were down there, and I pointed out Tudor City. So here's Tudor City. And then a lot of the buildings around here, a lot of the people who live in them, you know, work for the United Nations or work for related organizations. But again, this just cracks me up. So funny. Somebody missing their bumper? Free bumper. Hey, Nabul's here. Good to see you. Everybody go check out Nabul if you want to see streaming from one of the most beautiful places on earth, the south of France. Chrysler. Tip top of the Chrysler building sticking out. So if you guys want to see something funny, these buses, these electric buses, the thing right behind it, that's the charger. It reminds me of something like Mario Kart. So they go sit underneath those to charge up their batteries. Again, this is Tudor City. You can see the sign that is visible along 42nd Street for Tudor City. Historic buildings. Some of the funniest floor plans in New York City. So a lot of some of the smallest units in any building in the city. We've joked about it before, but it's probably the buildings you're most likely to have to use what's called a Murphy bed, which is the bed that kind of retracts into the wall. So they have studios that are, 200 to 300 square feet. And I was looking at some of them the other day. Many of them don't have whole ovens. They're so small. So they have like little half-size dishwashers and then a hot plate. So you might have a hot plate, a microwave, maybe a mini dishwasher, and a mini fridge. So you would really struggle to do entertaining in those, I'm afraid. Anybody know about Manhattan Henge? That's when the sun aligns with the street grid. This little overpass right there is one of the best places to photograph it. And you'll see literally 100 cameras during Manhattan Henge right there. People will get there hours early to claim their spot. Layla says Tudor City, the most overpriced tiny apartments in all of New York City. The funny thing is, the pricing, as far as, like, I think they're kind of priced right, at least by New York City standards. You just don't get a lot. But if you want to be in Midtown Manhattan and you're willing to live in a shoebox, but so for example, those 300 square feet studios you can get for $300,000, which is $1,000 a square foot. A lot of nicer buildings in New York City, you know, the price is $1,250 a square foot or even more. So I guess it just depends on how you look at it. So this is the United Nations headquarters. But since we've been talking about Tudor City, we might go walk up over there. But let me get some angles over here. Hey Donna, good to see you. Still a little bit of snowflakes coming down. I was hoping we'd get one last big burst of a flurry, but not too much at the moment. Not too much at the moment. Let's go see Tudor City for a second. It's really fun. Let's see, do we have the light or no? I guess not. Oh, I was wrong. Layla, you have to factor, yeah, so Layla's mentioning New York City apartments have what are called maintenance fees. So these are monthly fees for building upkeep, if you have doormen, some of the energy bills, things like that. Yeah, that's true of basically buying any apartment in New York City. So you might spend $500,000 or $1 million on the apartment and then still have to spend $800, $1,000, $1,500. Just depends on how nice the building is and how much is going on with it. You'll have to pay. You could pay $1,000 a month on top after you've paid for the unit. UN headquarters still. Walking up these little stairs here, bringing us to Tudor City. And you got to see these buildings because they have this kind of, as we're saying, Tudor City, Tudor style. If you look up and look at the ornamentation on the buildings, they have a little private park over here, although it's private's not the right word because it's public. It's like a little community park for Tudor City. Anybody can go in there though. But look at the really cool detailing. Pentelis asking, is it snowing in Manhattan? It's still snowing, it's pretty light right now. Just showing you guys some of the detailing on these buildings. They're so gorgeous. There's a restaurant here. I think it's called like Tudor City Steakhouse. Nice little setup there. Probably a fun place to have a martini, if I had to guess. Nabul asks, is it usual to own a place or rent? Ooh, I don't know the breakdown. That's a good question. Almost everybody I know rents, but we're younger. And buying is incredibly expensive. It's dark inside, yeah, so you can see the windows. So there's a funny story about the windows. Well, first of all, a lot of these, I think every one of them is landmarked, so the style of the window can't be changed. You can update them when you need to, like if they break, but it has to look exactly the same. But on the rear of the buildings, as we walked over, you probably saw there weren't as many windows on some of the buildings as you would have expected, given that it's the waterfront. And one of the reasons that's probably an empty lot over there is this used to be meat processing plants. So these poor people lived in these gorgeous buildings right by the water, and you didn't ever want to open your window or look or smell because it would have been terrible. There's the Chrysler again, and right behind it, one Vanderbilt. So gorgeous over here. So gorgeous. Oh yeah, the condo. I mean, the whole thing in New York. It's all crazy. It's all crazy. A lot of the buildings have boards that you have to interview with to even be considered to purchase in them. So we're standing over 42nd Street, kind of iconic view over here. Again, during Manhattan Henge, when the sun aligns perfectly with the street grid in New York City, this entire walkway that I'm standing on covered in photographers. Hey, Photos is here. Colleen. A conned op. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just so silly. It's just so silly. So you'd have to interview to get in. You might pay for a one bedroom $1.25 million. So $1,250,000. You'll get way less space than you can possibly imagine. And you might have to pay $1,500 a month on top of all that in maintenance fees. But we love it here. Oh, Donna's saying Seinfeld has a episode on the interview process. Let me show you guys the Ford Foundation. Let's see if they get upset with me if I try to film inside. I don't often film inside, but I think this is considered a public area. And I apologize in advance if we get some buffering, but it's one of the most beautiful things, you guys, I think I can show you in New York City. So their entire lobby is basically a public park. All right, hopefully they Atrium open to the public, yes. So we should be okay. It's so quiet in here, so I'm not going to talk too much. I just want to show you guys the inside here. Oh my God, it's like a greenhouse. It's so warm all of a sudden. Yeah, this is unbelievably pretty. So again, this is the Atrium, the public lobby of the Ford Foundation. They have an art gallery up there. But it's like a greenhouse. I don't know, it might be 70 degrees right now. All these plants. It feels so good in here. I can't begin to tell you. I just want to take my jacket off. So we're at 42nd Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue in the atrium of the Ford Foundation. It's a public space. It had hours. When we go outside, I'll find the hours so I can tell you guys, but it's basically, you know, kind of normal business hours. It's open to the public. Maybe we'll pop out on 43rd actually. Oh my God, I can't tell you how beautiful it is in here, and it feels so nice. Yeah, Brenda says for people who don't want to go outside if the weather's bad. This is incredible. I've been in here a few times. I guess for whatever reason I never remember how warm it is. It feels like a greenhouse, like a hothouse. Incredible. This is like a whole new thing. I think it has to do with like LEED. Anybody know LEED, L-E-E-D certifications? So basically, you know, to get like environmental kudos for your buildings. One of the new things people are doing is putting in literal gardens and stuff, so it probably makes them like carbon negative, is my guess. Oh my God, that felt so good. Okay, so we're 43rd Street now. What do I want to do? I want to go back to, oh, I know what I want to do. I have some more ideas. More ideas. Oh yeah, it smelled beautiful. Yeah, no, it was just like, it was amazing in there. And I feel like it didn't open too long ago, so not a lot of people go in there.
Garbage.
Traffic jam. Traffic jam. Oh, well, that was beautiful. Okay, I have another idea. Can you guys tell me the time one more time? Are we at about 2:30? I have to be done. I have a hard stop today. But I have another idea around here that kind of ties in with a theme. Oh my God, look at this. More art. If anybody follows us on Instagram, I was walking downtown and I found all sorts of art on some buildings. How cool is this? This is obviously not downtown, now we're in Midtown, but I love stumbling on little art. Put it into context right there. So what was I saying? Timeliness. So Sunday was the Oscars, and I have an idea that ties in ever so slightly to the Oscars. You'll see why in a moment. But there's some more public space up ahead with public art and gardens. And one of them has an ever so slight connection to the Oscars. So let's go there next. Hey Norm, good to see you. And thank you everybody for the time check. Tyler. Let's see, anybody coming? Looks like school buses. There must be. Last time I was over here at the UN and like wandering around the UN area was during the General Assembly. I was not live streaming at the time. I don't remember why. But one of the people we found wandering around here was Macron, the president of France. I think I forget if I posted, I like snapped a couple of shots of him on my phone. But we ran into the president of France. That was pretty cool. American leaders. He was walking around on foot. He was just exploring on foot. He had a little security detail, but he was wandering around. It was great. All right, so we're coming to 47th Street, and right over here is a beautiful little public plaza. And often it has art, and it looks like this is our art today. It changes from time to time. I'll see if I can find a sign somewhere with the details. But it looks like this is the current art. And the Oscars connection I promised. This garden is the Katharine Hepburn Garden. Let's see what this is. Judith Peck, reclining woman, black. Welded steel. Art in the parks. Part of a series, Ladies of Steel, which is obviously all of these are ladies. Other ladies in the series were shown in the plaza in 2001 when the opening scheduled for September 11th, the day tragedy struck. The resilience of New York City is legendary, its vitality unstoppable. I feel honored to bring these steel reminders of New Yorkers' solid strength to the plaza. Oh, that's cool. I mean, sad that it's connected to the September 11th, but that's cool that it's back. So these are the reclining ladies. I love that. And our good friend Chris is here. Everybody go follow Chris. An amazing vlogger from Granada. So if your bones are feeling that winter chill and you need a virtual visit somewhere warm, Chris MG might be the answer. So as I was saying, we're here on this little beautiful public plaza near the United Nations building on 47th Street, and this is the Katharine Hepburn Garden. There's also a church across the street, right there, which also has a really pretty garden. So maybe we'll go check that out as well. Obviously, all of this is going to look so much better when it warms up in spring. Tim and Tam, good to see you. But yeah, this is the Katharine Hepburn Garden, so I promised a little movie connection there. Let me show you this church and their garden. But yeah, it's good to see everybody today. Thanks for being on with us. Little afternoon stroll here in the city. There's still some snowflakes coming down. Not too much at the moment. This is the Holy Family Church. Just show you. Again, everything's going to look a little nicer as things warm up, but so pretty. Koi. And look at this tree. This is looking pretty. That's some color right there for you. William Peters, good to see you. Again, the Holy Family Church here on 47th Street between 1st Avenue and 2nd. Oh, another pond. Let's go say hi to the fish. beautiful. Dolores, good to see you. All right, let's head back over to First Avenue. And I think I know where we will finish today. If anybody plotted today's walk on a map, it's like zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. OTDA, good to see you. Again, the United Nations headquarters straight ahead. All of this is the grounds of the United Nations, and directly in front of us they have a whole sculpture garden. Really pretty. Well, sounds like a lot of folks are done with winter. I was hoping we'd get one more really pretty snow where it's stuck in Central Park, but I don't think it was way too warm. So even though it was pouring snow this morning, like it was really coming down for hours, but it was just too warm. Too warm. So we're back on First Avenue. Now we're walking north. We mostly walked south today. We started at 87th Street on the Upper East Side, worked our way south. Now we're walking north again. This, by the way, is Beekman Tower. We've been seeing all sorts of Art Deco buildings. This is one of my favorites. I think there's a bar upstairs. I would love one day to go there. Have a martini looking out from Beekman Tower. I think that would be pretty nice. All right, let's see if this works. I'm trying to remember if this is where all the pieces connect, but I could be wrong. Let's find out. Gal and Tom Frank, good to see you. Their niece lives nearby. All right, let's see if Sean's mental map is working. Just a gorgeous afternoon, a little light snow coming down. Unfortunately too warm to stick, but it's the 40 and 50 mile per hour winds seem to have stopped, thankfully. All right, I think the mental map did work. I think it worked, folks. There should be an entrance to a beautiful little park. You'd never know it, but I think we made it. That parking garage we just walked by the way, monthly fee starts at $495 per month. and only goes up from there. Like if you have a luxury car, they add a fee. SUV, they add a fee. Luxury SUV, they add both fees. So Manhattan is full of little parks. If you're on the east side, if you go as far east as you can go, the ends of the streets sometimes have beautiful little parks. Not always where you'd expect to find them. There's also pocket parks in the middle of the city. So like if you're walking around Midtown, middle of the city, you might see a little lot that's a park. And it's just like one, so you can see all the buildings that have waterfront views. These are Beekman and Mitchell places, so they're full of really, really, really expensive townhouses. And this is probably their private little park. But I love walking down here, and there's a little dog run at the end. Dog's hanging out, probably enjoying the little snowflakes coming down. Oh, I love it over here. Dogs hanging out, having a good time, playing ball. And then we should be able to take some stairs over on this side, bringing us up to street level again. Yeah. We'll move forward. Hopefully we'll get away from it in a second. There we go. We should be back now. So again, this is Beekman and Mitchell places. So there's a few streets over here, kind of tucked away. Some beautiful buildings. Incredibly expensive townhouses. The thing with the buffering is I just keep walking, and usually we get past it in a minute or two. I appreciate your patience with us. So that was a beautiful little park. We're going to finish at a different where we will call it a day. So the other day I posted a recorded walk of Sutton Place and York Avenue. And I think we'll head back to Sutton Place. We'll go to one of the parks, get some nice views, and that's where we'll call it a day. So first we have to walk up to 53rd Street and then make a right, and that'll take us to Sutton Place. Oh, look at this building. Looks like it's seen better days, but I sure like the look of it. Dolores says this reminds me of the Gramercy area. Yeah, a lot of the buildings do have some reminiscence of that. I would agree. We almost went towards there today, but We stopped at Midtown. We had a few ideas along the way that didn't all work out. But that's part of the joy of live streaming, is you don't know, you don't always know how it's all going to work out. So we're making it right here on 53rd Street. That'll take us to Sutton Place. So if anybody's familiar with the East Village, you know of Alphabet City. There's Avenue A, B, C, D. This is effectively Avenue A. There's also an East End Avenue farther up. That's basically Avenue B. And if you go farther uptown, there's other stretches like that, like Pleasant Avenue, which is a lovely name. Lino says the exclusive Campanile, 450 East 52nd Street, Greta Garbo's apartment building. Oh wow. Yeah, I need to learn more about where some of our famous folks lived over the years. That's pretty cool. So I don't know how long ago, maybe 45 minutes ago, maybe more, we were on the waterfront near the UN, and I was pointing in the distance and said, someday it'll all connect. This is what I was pointing at. So this isn't open just yet, but right now they're furiously working on this section of the Greenway. All right, let's see if I can jump across before any cars come. So soon we'll be able to walk onto that and get to a new section of the East River Greenway over here around Sutton Place. Really looking forward to this. And I keep seeing them doing work, so I'm hopeful it won't be too long before that happens. This is called Sutton Place Park South. And look, we do have some flowers. Karina Thompson, good to see you. PB&J, no snow accumulation. Nope, no snow accumulation. It snowed all morning, but it's been too warm. It's been too warm. And then over here there's some little, there's this beautiful planter. And then look at this. I always love this. So again, not too long we'll be able to walk onto this, and then that's a new section of the Greenway that hasn't opened yet. Once I find out when it opens, we'll probably be among the first people. We will do our best to be there on opening day, but I can't wait for that. It's going to be really beautiful. In the meantime, I was saying there's all sorts of parks along. So check some out as we conclude today's live stream. Coming to the end, folks, coming to the end. It's been fun. We've had a blast. We explored. We tried to explore. Sometimes we were successful.
Yeah.
So let's go finish by one of the beautiful Sutton Place parks with some nice views. The snow picked up just a little bit there. You might even be able to hear it. I can hear it landing on my jacket. Ooh, and in the distance you could see the Roosevelt Island tram go across the 59th Street Bridge. All right, hopefully I'm right. I think the park connects. Hopefully I am remembering correctly. Hopefully we can use this entrance. There's a few different parks over here. Some are connected, some are not. I'm hopeful that this is part of the connected park. As we come to the end, so for those of you who know us and have been on a lot, you know we have a little newborn at home. Mom and Dad aren't getting a lot of sleep these days, so I've run out of recorded videos. So mostly, until I get more time, we'll just go live from time to time, which we love to do. We love to hang out with everybody. This is the new section of the Greenway I keep mentioning. So it's not open yet. They're still working on the construction, as you can see, but my gosh, it's going to be wonderful when it's open. Look how beautiful that is. But if you just found us today because of snow in the title, the last 3 recorded videos we did, so no talking, just experiencing New York City, we have the High Line, World Trade Center, and then my favorite of all, sunset on the Brooklyn Bridge. So if you haven't had a chance to see those videos yet, go check those out. My favorite of the 3 is the Brooklyn Bridge. I just wanted to walk the Brooklyn Bridge. It just worked out perfectly that it was sunset. Hey, S. Fields is here. Good to see you. So again, this is the 59th Street Bridge, also known as the Ed Koch Queensboro Bridge. On the other side of the bridge is where the Roosevelt Island Tramway runs. Mike Lewis says, Spider-Man, the Apprentice, hey. But if you're new to our channel, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, so hopefully you can find something, and even some of which you might enjoy. But my favorite site of all in this park, for photos from around New York, Porcellino. I love this. You may recognize this. This is the thumbnail we used for our not too long ago Sutton Place video. If anybody's been to Florence, they'll recognize this. So yeah, we're in right now we're in Midtown Manhattan. We're south of 59th Street. This is probably, I forget, is this 56th Street? Something like that, plus or minus a couple. This is Sutton Place Park. There's a Sutton Place Park North. There's Sutton Place Park. There's one more Sutton Place Park beneath us. And then where we entered this area was Sutton Place Park. So the beautiful East River. We almost took the ferry today, but the timing just didn't work out. S. Fields with the details. The end of 57th Street, thank you. I didn't know if that was where there's one more park. I thought was 57, but I could be wrong. It's funny over here. I'm under a tree now. Let me point the camera up since I don't really care if the lens gets wet anymore since we're coming to the end. I'm trying to show you guys the snow coming down. It's very hard to see. I can point to show you the snow. Oh, there, that's okay. You can sort of see it over this way. But as we come to the end, from beautiful snowy New York City, big thanks to everybody who joined today. Thanks to our subscribers who joined at what must have been, I don't even know, 3 a.m. in Korea. To all of our friends, old and new, thanks for being with us. When you get a chance, check out our Brooklyn Bridge video. Tickles your fancy. But to Leva, Karina, Dolores, Tracy, the apprentice, Mike Lewis, Handsome Pete, S. Fields, our good friend S. Fields, photos from around New York, Brenda, Jonna, Tom from Midtown, Nabul, all of our mods, all of our viewers. A big thank you to everybody for hanging on out with us today, exploring New York City, experiencing a tiny little bit of snow coming down. John Bader, AC. Oh, let me show you guys the tram as it exits stage left. We loved hanging on out today. And we'll see you all again sometime real soon. So signing off from Sutton Place. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you again sometime real soon. Take care. Bye, everybody.